A professional workplace investigation rarely depends on a single piece of evidence. In most complex cases, investigators must bring together different sources of information, including human testimony, documents, digital records, physical evidence, organizational records, and expert opinions to develop a complete and defensible understanding of what happened. This process is known as evidence integration or evidence synthesis. It involves moving beyond simply collecting information and creating a list of facts. Instead, investigators examine how different evidence sources connect with one another, how they support or challenge different explanations, and how they contribute to the overall findings of the investigation. The purpose of integrating multiple evidence sources is to create a more reliable picture of events. Different types of evidence have different strengths and limitations. Human memory can be incomplete, documents may lack context, and digital records may require technical interpretation. By comparing and cross-referencing different sources, investigators can improve accuracy, resolve inconsistencies, and develop conclusions based on the totality of the evidence. The first major source of evidence is testimonial evidence, which comes from complainants, respondents, and witnesses. In many workplace investigations, testimony is one of the most common and important sources of information because it provides insight into what individuals experienced, observed, or understood. However, testimony should rarely be considered in isolation. Witness accounts often provide the starting point for identifying other evidence. A statement from a witness may lead an investigator to relevant emails, documents, system records, or other individuals who can provide additional information. When evaluating testimony, investigators must remember the difference between credibility and reliability. Credibility relates to whether a person is attempting to tell the truth, while reliability relates to whether their information is accurate. A witness may be completely honest but still mistaken because of memory limitations, perception issues, stress, or other factors. The second source is documentary evidence. Documentary evidence includes written, recorded, or visual information, such as emails, policies, contracts, meeting notes, reports, attendance records, and other organizational documents. Documents can play different roles in an investigation. Sometimes a document is central evidence that directly relates to the allegation. For example, an email exchange may provide direct information about inappropriate communication. In other situations, documents provide background or context that helps investigators understand the circumstances surrounding an event. Documents are also valuable because they can help refresh witness memory and resolve differences between accounts. However, investigators must consider authenticity. If there are concerns about alteration or manipulation, the investigator may need to verify the original source and confirm the integrity of the document. The third source is digital evidence. Modern workplace investigations increasingly involve electronic information from computers, mobile devices, communication platforms, and organizational systems. Digital evidence can include emails, instant messages, system records, access logs, browser activity, metadata, and other electronic information. One of its greatest strengths is that it can provide objective information about timing, communication, and activities that may not depend on human memory. However, digital evidence must be handled carefully. Electronic information can be changed, deleted, or manipulated. Therefore, investigators must ensure that digital evidence is collected, preserved, and analyzed in a way that maintains its integrity. Organizational records also help identify broader issues, such as policy, control weaknesses, or deviations from established procedures. They allow investigators to examine not only individual actions, but also the organizational systems surrounding those actions. The sixth source is expert opinion. Some investigations involve technical issues that require specialized knowledge beyond the investigators. Expertise. In these situations, experts may be consulted to interpret complex information and provide professional opinions. Examples include forensic accountants analyzing financial misconduct, digital forensic specialists examining electronic evidence, document examiners reviewing potential document manipulation, or psychologists providing specialized insight into areas such as trauma or assessment. Expert opinions do not replace the investigator's role. Instead, they provide additional expertise that helps investigators understand technical information and make better informed findings. When integrating evidence sources, investigators must also consider the relative weight of different types of evidence. Not all evidence carries the same strength. An admission by a person involved in the incident is generally considered highly significant because it directly acknowledges the conduct in question. Direct evidence, such as eyewitness testimony or clear video evidence, may also carry substantial weight. Circumstantial evidence is indirect evidence that requires some level of reasoning. For example, an access record showing that an employee entered a building may not prove exactly what happened inside, but when combined with other evidence, it may become highly persuasive. Hearsay or second-hand information generally receives less weight because it is further removed from the original event. However, it can still be valuable as an investigative lead that helps identify additional evidence or witnesses. Ultimately, evidence integration is about understanding the complete picture. Strong investigations do not rely on one source of information alone. They examine how different evidence sources connect, evaluate their strengths and limitations, and develop conclusions based on the combined weight of the evidence. By integrating testimonial, documentary, digital, physical, organizational, and expert evidence, investigators can move from isolated facts toward a coherent, balanced, and defensible factual narrative.